There's something very wonderful about this sense of effortlessness, that sort of comes to you once in a while. And I know it's like if you got a job, it's like you're constantly using all of your creative energy to solve other people's problems. You're using everything in your head and your body. I mean, if that's a very involved job, and even there's other jobs that you don't even use much of yourself, but it occupies you. It's like if your body is territory, it's occupying that territory. Which is a strange way of saying that. To be, I'm preoccupied. It's you can't invade me. You cannot invade my time and space. It is already owned by someone else. But it's not owned. They've traded, they negotiated with you, and you've agreed. So there's everything's fair, everything's fine, and this idea, the effortlessness, and this is a separation from maybe many things that are happening in the world that are not effortless. This is possibly a Canadian luxury. But even so, it's like in Canada, it's like, how much do you have to work to enjoy your hour or 2 hours of effortlessness? And isn't it intermingled with daydreaming about work again, and daydreaming about the thing you have to fix, and that other thing you have to get, and that other thing you forgot to do? It's interesting, the state that we're in, even though it's so comfortable, in comparison to maybe many people in Sudan or in Gaza, and that brings me to the overwhelming feeling that but this is a fact. This is a fact when you look at situations around the world. It's very clear that war is not in the best interests of people, of general people. It is very, power is interested in war. Dominators are interested in war. Monopolies are interested in war to secure a greater power. And it seems to always be connected for the common person that the health of this mythological creature called the nation is your health. But I think we're seeing consistently, and this is becoming more and more common, a separation between the nation's quote-unquote health and the nation's well-being and its citizens. I think this is a complete separation, and I think you're going to find behind this idea of a nation a few actors, a few specific actors that are maximizing gains from something, and it's who owns no frills, who's a Galen Wesson. It's like you'll see his face come up, but only it had to be dug out. This man was well beneath the surface of general consciousness, and he was behind the logo, and his benefits were behind this logo, and it was obscure and vague the way he profited personally from being involved in that business. And he's providing groceries, he's providing everything that we need. It's like, and it kind of feels like it can't be overlooked. And this thought returns all the way back to Mr. Marx, I think. But it can't be overlooked that these capitalists are providing a quality of life, a convenience of life, obviously. And they are the ones providing it. They're in the role to be said to be the provider of these conveniences and these necessities at a higher quality than we would have been able to provide for ourselves. And through their system, through their connections, working with other people that are dominating other people to make sure we have our coffee and our pineapples and our avocados are almost ripe when we go to the store to pick them, because we pick them. This is the surrogate activity of what we once did, what we once did naturally. It's like it has been replaced. It's like it'd be so interesting to go to a grocery store that makes an attempt to replicate the experience of being an honest human being. And, they put replica trees and hang the avocados from them, and then you can pick those. That would be kind of interesting. But they are providing a convenience. They're providing necessities in a more convenient way, and it cannot be shrugged off that overall life has become better. It cannot be shrugged off. So it's like when the real estate investment trust is making record profits, it's because they're providing something. It's because what they're providing is that valuable. But this is a story. This is a fanciful fairy tale that we vaguely must go along with, or we change our choices. There's no overthrow the grocery store. Generally, there's no overthrow of the real estate investment trust. There's no overthrow of the provincial government that cuts them all manners of red tape and benefits in order to continue maximizing their profits to the detriment of general people, because they're providing housing. They're doing something necessary. They're improving life. And what would we do without them? Ayn Rand. It's like, the poors, the peasants are squabbling a little too much. And they're demonstrating so much disrespect for my capitalist heroes. I highly recommend that they should shrug. That, like Atlas, as if they are the ones that hold the earth. They are the ones that hold the earth up. And to be very fair, the human earth, the human world, it is held up. It is held up. These necessary ideas for progress, they are held up by these titans. You'll see this exemplified in South Korea. But, yes, to the benefit of everyone are these capitalists, Ayn Rand's capitalists, the heroes of capitalism, providing a service and being spit on and being doubted and being judged harshly, and it's there is no benefit for them besides the money. And in Ayn Rand's writing, it's not even the money that they seek. It's not the money that they seek, but it's a demonstration of their ability on the earth to manifest. And to me, this is a heroic task. I think it is a perfectly heroic task, but I think the glorification of her heroes, she'll find meeting her heroes that they must generally fall short of her ideal. And I think that is the world that we live in when you see Amazon employees running around making, less than $20 an hour, and they're basically having to maintain a jog, and many of them driving small Sprinter vans instead of having a larger truck that you would have to license, because they want to cut corners, because they need to maximize profits. And it's not because they are losing money. It's because it is beneficial to make more of it, exponentially more of it, to the point where the founder of the company is one of the top 3 richest men on the planet. You understand. It is not to the benefit of the worker, but we must thank Jeff that, he's providing all of these jobs for these poor people, because what would they do without him? It's such an interesting concept. Like, what would you do without industry? What would you do? You'd be a farmer. You'd be a poor farmer, a poor, miserable farmer. And every developing country that is filled with agricultural workers, they envy the industrialists. They envy these developed countries, these quote unquote developed countries, and their ability to provide highly valuable goods and exchange them, and then pay to train their people to be highly educated, to work in these industries, and then they pay you for their agriculture. They're not paying Canadians to grow all of their food. They're outsourcing all of the majority of that, but I'm speaking loosely. I'll do a little due diligence to be sure of this point. But it's interesting, and then bringing that back to Mr. Marx is, I guess he sort of had the idea, he had the impression that capitalism would eventually continue to go down the path of fewer and fewer hands concentrating more and more and more wealth, and in the exact opposite direction, the mass of people, a greater and growing number of people, will stop receiving the benefits of this quote-unquote progress, and they'll be suffocated, and they'll be suffering in poverty because of this situation, or they'll be willing slaves. They'll become willing slaves, and I'm paraphrasing. I'm ruthless paraphrasing of, but he did imagine that eventually the situation for the so-called proletariat would become so difficult, so unreasonable, that they would band together and revolt. And there would have to be a reorganization of society. There would have to be a revolution. He saw this as an inevitable event. And I think it's true. I perfectly think if that was the case, if that reality became extremely clear to the majority of people that are being squeezed, and that they were to unify in this understanding, there would almost immediately be a revolt. But we are not unified in any sort of class understanding, because I got slides on, and I'm leaning back in a lawn chair, and I can relax. I just had Thai food. I just had some Thai food. My belly's full. I'm going to go back and go to bed. And what did I have to do for this? It's just a little bit of work. Oh, and it's good to work. And it feels good to work. And everyone else is working. And it's appropriate. I fit in. I go to work with everyone. I come home with everyone. It's normal. It's normal. It's normal. It's normal to be doing so much and to need to be doing more and more to get the same things. But as long as you can get these comforts, it seems, doable until you can't. But then we separate. We separate the people that can't. We don't believe it's a fundamental, systematic, imposed difficulty. We think of it as a personal failure. We perfectly think of it as a personal failure for the person that's begging for change. Oh, obviously, it's like it's their mental health. It's like they got lost somewhere, and it's they did too many drugs. Oh, it's they had an accident. They're disabled somehow, and it's like, it's like we can have pity for this person because it is an individual situation that they're in. It is not a widespread. I still get to sleep in my bed. I still get to put gas in my car. I can still go to work. How much are you paying? How much were you paying 5 years ago? How much has your wage increased? If you look at this mark across the board, I think you'll find that you're being squeezed. And don't be surprised by the person that wasn't doing very well 5 years ago is probably doing worse now. Don't be surprised by that. This seems to be a common situation. That seems to be vaguely understood, even by the RCMP, to bring up this point yet again, because I think it is so significant, and it'll be a bloop in news media for a week, and then it disappears. I refuse to let it disappear, because it is so significant that the RCMP considers one of the greatest threats to Canadian society the fact that people under the age of 35 will likely not be able to buy a home. You will never own your own home. That means you will always be contributing to someone else's mortgage with your labor. That is a clear extraction. That is the clearest. That is the clearest extraction of your energy and your value into someone else's hands directly. And it's, if they don't tell you, you should know. You should know that as a fact. You're paying someone else's mortgage when you're paying rent. And if their mortgage is paid off, you're just throwing that money directly into their pocket. And when you see the landlord come around with a new car, you know why. You know why? Because that was your money that bought that new car. And maybe you could have used a car. Maybe you could have used a new thing. Maybe you could have used a new life that you somehow cannot afford because of this ongoing situation you find yourself dependent on. And I don't think, I don't quite think Karl Marx's dreams are going to come true. Simply for the fact that you will not feel upset. You will not feel as, you're going to find a way to get on. You're going to find a way to, all right, I guess I need to budget differently. Okay, maybe I should just get a higher paying job. Oh, I just need to compete better. I just need to beat all these other people so that I'm not in their position. You understand that this sort of reality requires people to be in that position. And if you ask yourself, what is my social responsibility? What is my social responsibility? Does it have to do with anyone else? Is it just you? Is it just you and your girlfriend? Is it you, your wife and your kids? Is it you, your husband and your kids? Is it your mom? Is it your dad? Is it all of your family? Is it just the people you're related to, the people that you can say I love you to? And then it's not the stranger. It's not even the neighbor, although we'll smile, we'll wave, but if push comes to shove, we're not. We're not our neighbor's brother. And why isn't the neighbor's brother helping them? And I'm starting to believe social responsibility, but this is such a heavy thing to put on someone, and I do fundamentally despise the idea of obligation. I do. I feel like the best things do not come from obligation. The best things do not come from obligation. But I do imagine, and I'll rephrase it, not a responsibility. It is not a requirement. It is not a requirement for you to do something to benefit others, but it is in your own best interests to do so. I believe this. When you go to war, when you agree with demolishing and destroying other people, if you agree with watching them suffer and crumble under the weight of the domination of others, it's like, you're agreeing that is an alright thing to happen, and you just happen to be in a circumstance where that has yet to happen to you. But I believe that if it is happening abroad, it's coming here soon. It's coming here soon. And, I don't think that's just a statement to get anyone riled up. I believe that, the things that we allow to be perpetrated, it's like the reason that they do not happen to us is simply circumstance. And I guess the highest hope in watching other people suffer unjustly, unnecessarily, is that, and not feeling a desire to do anything or not feeling any sort of way about it, is that, we hope our circumstance lasts long enough for us to die without ever knowing justice, without ever having to face the consequences of, what other people suffer. And, bad karma. But it's 2024. Karma's dead. Karma's dead. It's non-existent. Generally, karma's dead. And, there are only psychopaths in its place. Convincing large groups of people to do what they believe is a good thing. I fully believe this, that the people in the highest positions of power on this earth today are psychopaths. They don't mind the destruction of other human beings because they don't imagine ever being in the situation of being dominated to that degree. They're living in a completely separate reality. Putin isn't thinking about all the individuals that are going to be destroyed when he goes to invade Ukraine. He's trying to rebuild the Soviet Union. He's thinking about his legacy. And it's like, and the United States and NATO have provided the very best reason for building this legacy is that you have threatened me. You have threatened my Russia, my sweet, sweet Russia. And it's this ego, the egos, the mythological creature identities of nations that we belong on a greater scale, and on smaller scales it's every other team and gang, that we find ourselves deciding that we need to destroy this other in order to secure security for ourselves, in order to secure resources for ourselves, because our goals are separated, as if we do not share the earth. And when you zoom out, there are no borders. There are no borders when you zoom out. We're earthlings, and for some reason I'm a Canadian before I'm an earthling. They don't tell you to sing earthling anthems. They tell you to sing national anthems. They don't show you the earth. They show you the flag. This is and I fully believe that that this identity, the national identity, it is much more like an individual human psychology than anything else. And it requires heroism. It requires so much to sustain its pride. It requires glory. And it requires love. And if it is stagnant, it dies, it suffers. To me, so much of the human ego is the national ego. Only it's a unified manifestation. And the directions that it can be pulled, and the directions it is pulled without the citizen body being aware of it, to me is the one of the most terrifying aspects of this nationalism. But isn't it good? Doesn't it make life easier that all of these people are united in providing resources for each other? All of these people are united in moving things forward, that we have these massive projects to make overall existence so much more convenient, to make it so that we can get water into deserts and food into barren lands Isn't it to our benefit that the railway crosses the entire country, and it's not going from one country to one country to one country, and all the tariffs and all the taxes and all the theft that would happen along the way, because every individual nation, all these mini nations, would be interested in their own interest and not a unified interest. I tell you, the power of the unified interest is incredible. But what are you unifying on? We might as well, look to our nations as if they're Santa. It's the same concept. It's the exact same concept. It's made up. It is completely fictitious, and its blood, its soul, its life is us. It's our belief in it, and it's the beliefs of all those that have died in its name. That is its power. That is its power. But I speak loosely, but I prefer it this way. I feel much more comfortable talking this way than being exact, than sitting there doing endless amounts of research to justify every other word I say. It's, these feelings to me are powerful. These feelings are powerful.